You need head count. You need through traffic. You need transient traffic. They cannot just rely on just 16,000 residents in this town to support it. It'll never survive. Hey, there was a pancake house on 1264 State Street. It couldn't make it with 16,000 residents. So we have a possible opportunity here to come into this community, to drive traffic and raise our population, whether it be early in the morning or whether it be in the evening or even on the weekends. Rick, I agree with you. Government shouldn't be involved. That piece of real estate's been sitting down there since I've moved in this town.
I'm with you, Paul.
And you know what? Nothing's going to happen there. It's an old oil refinery. It's going to take a major undertaking to clean it up and create it a viable source. We have relationships with the MWRD. We've got relationships. We're trying to do something. Our businesses in our downtown area are coming to us and telling us we can't survive. We built this business 10 years ago. We didn't know what was going to happen to this economy. You know, when the Jewel was being built, or when the Target was being built, I wasn't on the board at that point. This room was full of naysayers. Full. Don't do it. It's going to ruin our town. Don't do it. And guess what? I bet you each and every one of you shops there and goes and does things there. Okay, well, I'm just stating the facts here, because reality says, okay, go ahead. All right, that's fine. Let's call some facts out here right now, because my decision tonight is going to be based on a meeting that I sat in. I was lucky that the mayor invited LUV group in, and my fellow board member was sitting next to me. And I got to tell you, I've met with some of you in the audience to get a feel, to get a pulse, to understand the thought process, and maybe share some of my feelings. But I was really confused that night. I got to tell you, I was really confused, because I won't call out names. One person who mocked the mayor all night, who was being generous and answering all his questions, sat there and teased him. Every time he gave an answer, oh, we're going to do this, oh, we're going to do that. That same very person was talking about enchiladas tonight. Come on. We're serious here, folks. Another person. That's great. I'm not going to. That's not the way I work. That's not the way I work. I'm not here to argue. Okay, I'm done.
That's wrong.
You don't have to hide from talking.
No.
That's wrong.
We appreciate the petitions. Thank you for getting them signed. And what it has done is it has brought other sources to us that want to do business with the Village of Lemont to help us grow and create this economic device in our downtown and our surrounding areas. Thank you.
Kevin, I think it's Kevin Ryan. He brought out a point. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the village to explore other opportunities to make Lemont successful, the downtown community successful, and offer services to the village people, to the residents within the village. We've thrown out ideas throughout the village, throughout different areas, and this one, when it was thrown out, I sat back and I said, okay, I had a daughter that started playing soccer when she was, I don't know, 6 years old. Through high school, I spent mornings getting up at 5 in the morning to take her to McCook because she had 6 o'clock games in the morning. Spent coming home at 10 o'clock at night because she had 9 o'clock games. Because the only time they could get field time was odd hours. My son plays baseball, same thing. I'm going to Romeoville, I'm going to Darien, I'm going to Chicago, because those are the only places that can offer practice for baseball. We've got 16,000 residents within this community. Let's say a half or a third of them are children who are involved in sports, and we, I think, have a pretty damn good sports town. There's an opportunity, so we owe it to ourselves to explore an option to bring something into the downtown area. And if we don't do anything, the town's gonna die. The downtown area's gonna die. So here we are, we're saying we're exploring it. I appreciate what the residents did by going out and getting 1,700 signatures, but we're not prepared tonight to start building tomorrow. We're not. We as a board are continuing to ask questions. We're asking questions of the mayor, we're asking questions of George, we're asking questions of the reports that came to us, okay? To make sure that it makes sense. So let us continue to do our homework and ask the questions you have, okay? Don't come down and criticize us, ask the questions, and we will give you the best information we can. It's a learning experience for both of us. So be patient with us and let us continue to try to do something good for the downtown area.
Let us vote.
Thank you.
Let us go. Let us go.
Trustee Stabler?
Many of you said you'd like to see private enterprise take over something like this. But you have to realize that private enterprise would have to pay real estate tax, federal tax on our profits, state tax. We wouldn't have to do that.
That's the problem. That's not fair.
That's
That's the problem between government and private. That's the problem. Government shouldn't have those benefits. That's why it's unfair competition for the government against private. That's the problem, Ron.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
But that money that wouldn't go to the state
It's irrelevant.
or
It's
the
irrelevant.
government
It's
would
tax
stay
advantage.
here.
It's a tax advantage. That's the problem.
As it
That's
is,
the
you're picking our
problem.
pockets.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this brief. I'll keep it within 3 minutes. I've been in town since 1989. I moved here. I've actually, my grandfather swam in the quarries. My father worked here. I had a little bit of experience, so I come from a family background too. I got involved in this town back in 1994. It was Dan Fielding from the Public Works Department. Took me down, toured the quarries that I'd never seen. My grandfather had and talked about them all the time. And gave a tour of the canal and thought, what a cool town this was. I actually got to experience it firsthand, and I got involved. I've been on commissions and various boards since 1994. I then decided that I'd like to be more involved at a level where I have a say to try to vote, to represent the people. And I assure you folks, I am friends with all these people up here. We have nothing but this town's best interest at heart. I am here freezing my butt off at the Quarryman Challenge, trying to get 2,000 people in the downtown just to say, hey, look at our downtown. I am in the quarries digging up garbage out of the canal in my kayak because I want to beautify it. So we are looking at all those types of opportunities. I am actually the liaison for the downtown. I've seen businesses come and go. I've cried over businesses leaving our town because I was trying to figure out what kind of vehicle. And Paul Chodinkas hit it on the head. We've had studies done from, since I can remember, back to Posneski, back to Mayor Forsley, to where we have to be a destination location because we're never going to have the rooftops in this town to sustain ourselves. So when this opportunity arose, we got very excited about it, okay? And I know that you guys passed on signatures because you're concerned. I'm concerned too. I'm concerned that we are dealing with an impacted piece of property, but you know what? I'm glad I'm on the board because I'm an environmental engineer. And maybe we can make sure that it's going to be done properly, or maybe make sure that we're not going to make it cost prohibitive because MWRD has some policy that's going to make this a no-go. So, and all these people that are on the board, I can guarantee their heart's in the right place. So when I do see negativity, can I please state what I had? You guys all had your chance to speak. When I see negativity, that really breaks my heart. It does. We've got your input, and the reason why I'm voting tonight is basically because we want your input. I don't want to see this go to a referendum where people are going to be misinformed. They're going to see one question on the ballot.
Thank you, Master.
Please. I'm not saying this to be to get a rise on you people. Let's go through the education process together here to see if we can make this work. That's what I'm saying.
Let us vote.
Okay, well, that's how I feel, that's how you feel. I feel that, if it goes to referendum and it gets voted no, and we still try to pursue this, the problem is does everybody go out to vote on something like this? There's a lot of politics involved with referendums. I'd rather take you alongside of us. I like the idea of a citizen advisory committee. I like the idea of charrettes. We did the same thing with the downtown, and it proved successful. We're trying to build a town. I know people would like to keep Lemont a sleepy little town, but you know what? It's going to be nothing but closed up shops. Trust me, I've been going through this for years. Years. And I'm still on this board because I want to try to do the best that we can for this town.
Just saying that.
Okay, this isn't a dialogue, I'm just making a statement. And thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity.
Sure. I just want to say a couple things. First of all, what we're doing tonight is just saying that we're not going to, the referendum was to put it on the, I'm trying to think, sorry. We're trying to have it be an alternate revenue bank. What we're saying now, it never was putting it on the referendum to vote if we're going to do the project. It was just a form of financing. So what we're voting on today is to repeal that particular form of financing. It doesn't mean that there won't be input from citizens or that it's moving forward. I think when the mayor started out, that's what he said, is that we'd like to move forward with input. When I say move forward, I don't mean move forward with the project. I mean move forward with the discussion of the project. I don't know if any of you were here long enough ago to participate in the charrettes or some of the meetings that were held about the downtown. They were very well attended, great input was given, and one gentleman had some ideas he was talking about. That's the kind of thing I think that we would be looking for. When we first talked about this a while back, I was excited because we hear from businesses all the time. In fact, you probably read about it in the patch. Why isn't the village board doing more to bring businesses here? Why did this business fail? So we're sort of in a no-win position. If businesses leave, it's our fault. If we don't do anything to help them, it's our fault. When we try to do something, it's a risk. People don't want us to do that. So it's a tough thing to do. But I think what we'd like to do is have your input and have your suggestions. And you've spoken up tonight, and I appreciate that. But in a meeting format where we can talk about, this is what we're thinking about doing, these are the type of activities, and have input. Because there are people not in this room tonight who would also probably want to share ideas. I think that's what we'd like to move forward and do, is to have charrettes and have meetings and talk about what's possible, because believe me, if we do nothing, we'll get more of the same. More businesses that are not successful. So clearly there needs to be some changes. And I know Rick talked about the pension. Believe me, if we could change the pensions, well, I'll speak for myself, but it's out of our hands as far as changing the pensions. It exists, and you know that as well. But believe me, that's the biggest form of where our money goes is towards pension, and the entire state is suffering because of it. So I'm with you there. Last thing I would say is that my daughter played volleyball. We drove to Elgin for competition, so I know that there's a need for some kind of sports-related activities. I'll just say that I would rather not have to drive to Elgin, and there would be opportunities, closer if this were to be built. The other thing I would say, the last thing, years ago, before I was on the board, I got involved in a citizens action group, much like yourselves. So I sat where you're sitting and did what you're doing, and came to village board and came to the planning and zoning and expressed an opinion. And it does make a difference. Whether you think you're making a difference here or not, it does. So I appreciate you coming and your input. And as we move forward, we will be taking all that into consideration, and please believe that that's the case.
Thank you. Trustee Zagowski, is there anything you wanted to add via your phone?
Yeah, Brian. I just want to let you know that the studies, some of the questions that came up tonight, those studies are on the website, as you said, and many of the answers are there for the questions that were posed. I'd just like to also tell you that for the most part, the analysis has been very conservative. Not only do we have a belt and suspenders, but we've got a second pair of each. So the conservative numbers in there, you could still miss those numbers, but you've got to start somewhere, and the numbers used in the analysis are very conservative, and they still work.
Thank you, Rick. With that, roll call.
Glanzer?
We're voting to repeal. Yes.
Yes. Treleakus?
Yes.
Miklos?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Verdilio?
Yes. Yes.
Motion approves. All you have right now?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any new business anybody wants to bring at this time? With that, we have nothing for executive session. I need a motion.
Brian, you know what, hang on, just one thing on a new business, and maybe I'm just gonna steal a little Debbie's thunder, but last couple of weeks, our Public Works Department have been, just outstanding, thank you. Between water main breaks, I think Ralph made a comment of 18 inches of snow since, the past, what, 10 days or something like that. They're doing one hell of a job. The guys are tired. I know we've gotten some complaints of snow being pushed in the driveway. You know what? I'm sure they apologize, but it's part of what they have to do to get those streets clean. And they're not doing it on purpose. They're not doing it to piss the village off or anything like that. It's part of their job. So hands off to Ralph and the whole Public Works Department.
Thank you, Trustee Miklos. With that, I need a motion to adjourn. Trustee Virgilio, second by Trustee Stapleton. All those in favor? We are